What's up everybody, Crimson Shadow here, and I love Castle Rock. For those who don't know, Castle Rock is a psychological horror series set in the Stephen King universe that follows the main character of Henry Deaver, who must return to his childhood home of Castle Rock, Maine, when he receives a mysterious call from the Shawshank Penitentiary. Only 3 episodes have been released on Hulu so far, and I'm already hooked, for real. So much so that I decided to make a video on a theory I firmly believe to be true. Also, fair warning, in order for me to explain why I think this theory is true, there will be spoilers ahead for episodes 1 through 3, and some speculation on what could happen in future episodes. So if you don't want to be spoiled, there's your warning. With that out of the way, let me get started telling you why I think Bill Skarsgard's character is the entity known as It. Bill Skarsgard's character, referred to only as the Kid, or Shawshank Prisoner, is found early on in the first episode at the bottom of cell block F in the Shawshank Penitentiary in a frickin' cage. You find out he was put down there by Warden Dale Lacey because, as former Sheriff Alec Payneborn says,
he told me he had finally figured out what was wrong with Castle Rock. He said he had always thought the devil was just a metaphor, but now he knew the devil was a boy. And old Dale said he caught him, had locked the devil in a box. And from here on out, it was blue skies and butterflies.
Now, my thoughts on the accuracy of that statement could be the subject of another video entirely, but for now, let's just take that as a starting point. The entity known as It, aka Pennywise the Dancing Clown, is known in both book and movie format to be a sinister entity that feeds off the flesh and fear of human beings. Sounds pretty devilish to me, don't you think? And this might be a low blow, but they both happen to be played by Bill Skarsgard.
Coincidence? I think not!
Furthermore, the opening titles of the show feature a brief glimpse of Pennywise's iconic quote and smile from the cover of the It book, hinting that he will appear, or in this case, already has appeared, in the show. In episode 2, when Warden Lacey is giving a spiel in voiceover about how he wanted God to give him a way to help his town, he says that God answered him right as the camera shows him building the cage. This means that God must have answered him with a warning about a devil that's a danger to his town around that same time. I would say within maybe a month or so, factoring the time it would take him to gather all the stuff to build the cage. And this is important because of what time this warning actually would be given. You see, that speech by George Bush Sr. on the TV that's playing while Warden Lacey is building the cage was given on February 27th, 1991, his speech on the Gulf War. I believe that this means Warden Lacey must have finished building the cage, then found and captured the kid sometime in that same year. Why is this relevant? Well, in It, both the novel and the movies, it's established that Pennywise the Clown comes out every 27 years to feed. Castle Rock takes place in 2018, exactly 27 years ahead from 1991.
Damn, I'm good! Can you feel that? Huh?
With this knowledge, I'm going to step into some speculation here and say that the voice of God could actually be Maturin the Cosmic Turtle. Maturin is Pennywise's primary enemy in the novel, who assists Bill Denbrough by telling him how to defeat the clown. It's essentially Pennywise's opposite, being a force of creation and good rather than consumption and evil. As mentioned previously, Maturin has the power to communicate with human beings through mental telepathy, which would explain how he's able to hear Warden Lacey's cry for help and offer a solution. It would make sense that Maturin would tell Warden Lacey to find Pennywise during a year when he would be out of hiding so that he could catch him. Warden Lacey also mentions in the end of episode 2 that the voice told him where to find the boy and how to build his cage. I'm just gonna point out that in the opening titles, Derry is circled on a map with scribbles on it, and I think the map with the scribbles on it is probably Warden Lacey's because there's also a map of Shawshank, but whatever. So if Maturin was that voice, it would explain why and how a mortal man had the knowledge to create a prison that was strong enough to hold a powerful, devilish entity. Speaking of powerful, I'm gonna start comparing the kid's powers to Pennywise. First, I want to talk about shape-shifting, or at least the altering of appearance. In the novel and the movies, Pennywise takes many forms to frighten the children of Derry. A leper, a freaky painting, Georgie, and so on. One of the most iconic features of Pennywise that changes, at least in the 2017 film, is his eyes. In the beginning of the film, when he's talking to Georgie, you can see his eyes change from blue to yellow, or yellow-orange. Now I want to direct your attention to this picture of the kid. His eyes are clearly very similar in color to Pennywise's. Furthermore, his right eye in this pic has tints of blue being swallowed up by yellow, which I think is a signification that it is weak. It's been starved of food at the bottom of this prison, which would make it difficult to keep its disguised form, or at least a stable form. We've seen Pennywise's form break down once it's weakened in the films. This point can be proved even further in this shot, which looks like it'll be later on in the season given that the kid's clothes are different. And as you can see, the kid looks less sickly, and his right eye is a complete greenish blue, but the left still retains some of that yellow color, showing that he's still not strong enough. The next power that it holds is making its victims see things that others cannot. In it, Pennywise makes Bev see blood in her bathroom, while her father can't, and makes Ben see a headless boy and Easter eggs, which vanish when the librarian enters. The kid shows off a similar power of playing with people's minds and what they can see in Castle Rock, when he makes Officer Zaleski see him escaping from his cell and murdered bodies of his fellow officers laying all over the prison. Now, why he chose Zaleski to see such a horrible sight links to my next point, which is how it eats. As I stated in the beginning of this video, Pennywise the Clown feeds on people's fear and flesh for 1 year, then goes into slumber for the next 27 so he can do it all over again. It focuses on children because they're easier to scare. In Castle Rock, Officer Zaleski appears to be the youngest officer working at Shawshank, the new warden saying he's about 26. And when he first discovers the kid, he jumps back from the cage in fright, which I believe left the impression on the kid, or it, that Zaleski was easy to scare. This is why he chose him to show the horrifying images of the dead officers to. And when Zaleski visits the kid later on in episode 2, he's clearly unsettled by what he saw the previous night, and the kid's scary expression at the end of the encounter seems like he got exactly what he wanted. Some fear to feed off, rather than the human food on his tray, which is untouched when Zaleski picks it up. It is important to point out that Zaleski also mentions that the kid does not eat or sleep a lot during his time at Shawshank. In episode 3, he mentions to Henry Deaver that the kid doesn't eat anything except Wonder Bread, and just paces around in his cell at night rather than sleep. It doesn't sleep until it's finished its hunt, which would make sense why the kid would be up all night because he hasn't finished his hunt. The year is still going on. As for the bread thing, I think he's eating the bread to sustain his physical form. I mean, we know Pennywise can eat physical matter.
I'll feast on your flesh as I feed on your fear.
Clearly, it isn't giving him the proper nutrition he needs to be his usual powerful self, which is why he hasn't slaughtered everyone in the prison yet. Also, I think it could be used as a tactic to creep out Zaleski and the other guards, since they all seem to like to watch him and get creeped out. In conclusion, I feel like there are too many similarities between these characters to deny this. I know Bill Skarsgard has said in a couple interviews that he isn't playing Pennywise, but that doesn't mean he isn't playing Robert Gray. I mean, why else would the marketing team hide this character's name on IMDb if it wasn't a character we know? I've also seen a lot of people say that this character could be Randall Flagg, which is pretty much the devil in Stephen King's Dark Tower series. But in a recent interview from Comic-Con, Bill said his contract made him attached to the series for only the first season, and that he doesn't think he'll be returning. I feel like a character like Randall Flagg would be a primary antagonist for a show that encompasses the whole Stephen King universe. Besides, on most TV shows, 1 season usually equates to 1 year in showtime. And what character would only be around for 1 year and then disappear?
Hiya, Georgie. What a nice pose.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this theory video. I know I don't normally do theories, but I was just so excited about this show and I had so many ideas and I really wanted to get a video out there explaining it. If you like this kind of format of me talking about theories, I would love to talk more about Castle Rock. I have a ton of theories for this show. I got one about Henry Deaver, and I have another theory around the kid. So if you want to hear those or would be interested in hearing those, let me know in the comments or give this video a like. Otherwise, thanks for listening to me spiel about this TV show. It's really good if you haven't seen it yet. And if you haven't seen it yet, I'm sorry I spoiled it. But you really should watch it. It's so good, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here. Thanks very much, and I'll talk to you guys later.